I can tell you how I started, and I think that having perhaps got into it, I can't see that I can get out of it until something happens to stop me. When I was about 12, I started to take tremendous interest in mainly the mountains, but very largely things that made New Zealand and different from anywhere else that I'd seen and known. And to help myself understand the mountains, I started drawing outlines of the ones that I could see from home. And I found I could make, quite a good representation of them. And then, having got that far, I thought, well, I had a little child's box of colours. I thought I might colour on to enliven the whole thing, and I found that I enjoyed that, and with a certain amount of careful observation and an attempt to analyse what I saw, I could get fairly near the colours. And I found that if I did that, the result, particularly when I took it away from what I was trying to do, was quite thrilling to me. And that was how it began, and it's just gone on from there. When it came to the age of 17 or 18, thinking of leaving school, I thought it would be worth giving it a try to see if I could make a living as an artist. There are some artists, and some well-known artists now, who would say that the sort of work I do is not art at all. They said that it should be it should be the job of a photographer to do what I'm doing. But I think there is a difference. I think that the painting has something that the photograph never can quite give. Photographs can give you the most wonderful results, but somehow something that's passed through someone's mind and hands gives you an extra dimension, I think. It's probably a good deal to do with whether you do it consciously or not. You edit what you see, whereas a photograph gives you everything. Yes, I think the particular, love of the subject, and also an ability to analyse what's in front of you and translate that into terms of colours, shapes. I think it's a thing that I haven't fully realised in my artistic career. I think some people have a knack of getting to the essence that I've never really gained myself, but it's worth keeping on trying. Also the realisation that if we look at objects, particularly in the distance, there's an enormous amount of atmosphere between us and the object, and that is having quite an effect on the colours. For instance, the sort of statement that trees are green only works to a certain distance away. After that they can merge into blues, greys, mauves, and all sorts of colours. A great deal to do with the eye and the understanding and interpretation of what you're looking at. Everybody thinks they know what they see, but they can't analyse it into terms that they could put it down as a picture unless they have the trained eye of the artist. An essence of New Zealand that is different from the Himalayas or from Britain or anywhere else. I try to get a little bit of that into everything that I do. I think it becomes harder, Brian. I don't know. It's hard to know. Some things, I feel I have got fairly right, but I do see all the time that I could go a tremendous lot further. at the School of Art we were taught to, the first thing we did looking at a subject we thought of painting was to look and see how much we were going to include, and to get a good idea of how it would look as a picture we were made to half close our eyes like that and look through our eyelashes, which is just like having a poor left eye, and see just the main blocks of light and dark. And if they settled up making a nice pattern on the rectangle that we're sort of working on, then it was worth painting. And then when we got going we would block those in, usually with the charcoal drawing first and then a Terps wash. When we started into proper colour, we were made to bend down and look between our legs so that our heads were upside down. And the explanation given then was that your eye was thrown out of its usual way of looking at things, and you saw the true colours that were actually there. And it's since, quite a long time since, it's been explained by the fact that we have two sides to our brain, and one receives the images as perfectly as the eyesight allows. Those images are then passed to the other side of the brain, which interprets them. It sort of analyses or interprets them, and then it tells the consciousness, which is the third part of the brain, what it sees. And the net result of that is that an oversimplification, but the statement that trees are green or the sky is blue, it's a sort of compromise. But an awful lot of people see all trees as green, whereas they have browns and some of them are yellow and have purple in the shadows and all kinds of colours, and the same with skies. If you go outside and turn your head upside down and look at the sky out here now, you'll find that up towards the top it has a strong mauvish, reddish quality. There's a middle portion that's just about pure blue but grading in intensity, and towards the horizon it runs into a green. And the average person just doesn't see that at all. But this is what you have to paint it. You know, sometimes you go out and on a day when it's perhaps the nor'wester hasn't come up, but it's going to come within 24 hours, the sky has a marvellous glowing green all over it. The whole western sky has a sort of warm green. And not very much intensity, whereas other days you look out, particularly with the nor'wester on you, and there's a fierce blue at the top, and then it grades very sharply down through lighter blues into greens. And so each time you go to paint you have to analyse the type of day it is. Vincent van Gogh didn't drive a car, yet he got infinite variety in a matter of perhaps 10 miles at the most around his place. You know, his pictures vary enormously in content, and nearly all of them have got something about them that's I think it's how you see what you see. I think that you've got to be able to see it and analyse it and know what's making the picture, and then put your own personal interpretation onto it. And it works sometimes, and it doesn't always work, I can tell you. You've got to have that white paper in shade, otherwise the sun half blinds you and you don't see the colours. And so I worked out for myself a method of having a board in front of me doing watercolours that keeps the paper in the shade. And then to match that you have to have a good big hat or tennis shade to keep the sun out of your eyes. Otherwise you get robbed of all the sense of colour. An awful lot of artists, when they begin, they see famous artists and they read the critics who go on about their style. You know, they say it's a style you could pick anywhere, and this sort of thing. So they think they've got to make themselves a style. Well, one of my instructors at the school of art said, don't worry about a style. What you've got to do is to learn to see things and really know what you see. He said, if you've got any character in you, then that character will make your style. And I think he was dead right. I aim to analyse what I see and make the best of it, to the best of my ability, in a picture. And if, you know, over the years I do the same thing, but we hope always better, it may produce a style that's come out of knowledge rather than out of, you know, any sort of aiming for a style. You know, if their things go well, then I'm delighted. I've always really, my basic aim has been to bring back something of the lovely scene that I've enjoyed when I've been out there. Yes, if things go well, it's always exciting and thrilling, and it's always frustrating and annoying when they don't go well. You can sit down. Sit. You sit there. All right, I get picked. She's a very, very good dog. Without her, we wouldn't have a vegetable garden at all. She keeps the possums away. And you're a good girl, aren't you? Oh, it's been a marvellous career. I've been very, very lucky to be able to make a living of it. You know, I was very lucky. I went through the war without getting more than wounded, and that was considerable luck, I think. I found that it was something that I loved doing, and the more I learnt of the craft of painting, the more interesting it became. A lot of artists have found that over the years their interests have altered and their style has altered quite a bit. But I think you could only say that mine has been remarkable in staying much the same for so long. So I don't really expect to go into anything very much further or deeper, but I just might, I don't know. Well, I think I still very much respect what I see, and I don't want to put too much of you know, my own interpretation on it. What I see is lovely to me, and if I can bring back something of that, then I'm happy with it. And if it pleases other people, well and good. It changes with every season, with every change in the light and change in days, and it's a fascinating bit of scenery. There's always more to be found there, but it's very largely that the gorge is near and it doesn't take us so long to get there. Oh, I enjoy being there, Brian. That's the essence of that. You know, I could do an awful lot of work in the studio, but I don't. I'd much rather be out in the open air, amongst the tussocks and rocks and stones and things. That's where I like to be. I'm built that way, and I can't tell you more than that. A good deal of the time, the clouds are changing very quickly, and I try and remember them at their best and paint that part of it. to do the sky first, because it's always a slight discord with the rest of the colours in the picture, and if you get the sky of a certain tone and colour, the rest of the landscape has got to fit with it. It sets the tone for the day. If you can get the sky of the day right, the rest of the tone of the picture will follow. I think the nor'westers in Canterbury are something that makes it unique, aren't they? My mother couldn't stand the nor'westers. She always felt that, well, they gave her migraine headaches and made her feel awful. But my grandmother loved them, and I've sort of got that part of it from her, I think. A good clear nor'wester, you can just about see every rock on the mountain. The whole thing appears close, and that's a magical condition as far as I'm concerned. You get wonderful colours very often. Sometimes when the nor'wester is just giving up and there's a southerly coming in, you get some magical, strong colour. I've always felt with the nor'westers that they made me want to go west. Do you ever find that? I want to go into the wind and sort of, it's bringing something that I don't know, and it sort of draws me in a curious way, but I can't explain it at all.